The research station floated in the darkness of space, spinning slowly around a dying star. Inside, Commander Tilrax watched his screens with fear in his 4 eyes. The creatures were coming again. They had been attacking for 3 days now, and his people were dying. Tilrax was a Velian. His species had blue skin that you could almost see through, and they were peaceful. They studied the stars and learned about the universe. They had never hurt anyone, but the Krell did not care about that. The Krell only wanted to eat and destroy. Another explosion shook the station. Tilrax grabbed his control panel with 2 of his hands. The shields were almost gone. Maybe 10 minutes left. Then the Krell would break through the walls and kill everyone inside. He had to try one more time. Tilrax moved to the communication system and pressed the emergency button. His hands shook as he spoke into the microphone. "This is Research Station Theta 7. We need help. Please, anyone who can hear this message. We are being attacked. We have women and children here, scientists. We have no weapons. Please help us." He sent the message out into space. It was supposed to go to the Galactic Peacekeeping Alliance. They had soldiers and ships. They could save his people. But something went wrong with the signal. It bounced off the wrong relay station and went in a different direction. The message traveled through space for hours. It passed dead planets and empty space. Finally, it reached a small moon circling a blue and green planet. On that moon was a military base. Officer Hyan was sitting at her desk, drinking coffee. It was late at night and she was tired. Then her computer made a loud beeping sound. She sat up fast and looked at the screen. The words appeared in her language, translated by the computer. "Captain Doyan," she called out. "You need to see this right now." Captain Doyan walked over. He was an older man with gray hair and lines on his face from many years in space. He read the message 2 times. Then he checked where it came from. "That is 40 light years from here," he said quietly. "Outside our area." "The translation says they are dying," Hyan told him. "Many dead already." Doyan stood still for a moment. He knew what this meant. Humans were not supposed to leave their space sector. The aliens had made that rule very clear. Earth people were too dangerous, they said. Too violent. They called humans Deathworlders because Earth was such a harsh planet, but those rules did not matter now. People were dying out there. "Wake up Admiral Jiwan," Doyan ordered, "and get the fleet ready to move." 1 hour later, many important people sat around a big table. Admiral Jiwan stood at the front. She had silver hair pulled back tight and a serious face. She played the distress call for everyone to hear. "They did not ask for us specifically," said Commander Taeyeon. "This was a mistake. The message was meant for someone else. Does that matter?" asked Captain Minho. He commanded a big warship called Soul's Pride. "They are dying. We can help them." "It matters because we are not allowed in that space," Taeyeon said back. "If we go there, we could start a war with the Alliance." Admiral Jiwan raised her hand for quiet. "The coordinates are not in Alliance space. Technically, anyone can go there." She looked at each person. "But Taeyeon is right. If we do this, there will be trouble later." "Then arrest me after," Minho said firmly. "I will not let people die because of politics." Captain Yunji nodded. She commanded a carrier ship called Inchan's Hammer. "We have 3 destroyers and 2 carriers close by. We can be there in 30 hours. Admiral Jiwan was quiet for a long time. Then she stood up straight. "Prepare the fleet. Full military strength. If we are doing this, we do it right." She looked at everyone carefully. "Understand this. Today might be the day humans become heroes or villains in the galaxy. Let us make sure we are the heroes." The message went out to all the human ships in the area. The fleet was moving. Back on Research Station Theta 7, Commander Tilrax watched another part of his station explode. 17 more researchers died. The Krell ships were drilling through the walls like insects eating wood. He looked at his communication screen. No answer? No one was coming? They were all going to die here. Every single one of them. Till Rax closed his eyes. He thought about his family back home. He would never see them again. The Krell would kill everyone on this station, and no one would even know it happened. Suddenly, one of his officers shouted, "Commander! Something is happening." Tilrax opened his eyes and looked at the sensor display. At first, he could not believe what he saw. Ships were appearing on the edge of the system. Big ships. Military ships. They were coming fast. Who are they? Tilrax asked. His officer checked the computer. I do not know, sir. They are not in our database. The design is completely unknown. Did the Alliance send them? I do not think so, sir. These ships look different, harder, built for fighting. Tilrax watched the unknown ships move closer. They were heading straight for the Krell. Part of him felt hope, but another part felt afraid. Who were these strangers? And what did they want? The shields had 5 minutes left. Whatever was going to happen, it would happen soon. The human ships came out of hyperspace like thunder. On the bridge of Soul's Pride, Captain Minho looked at his battle screen. He could see 12 enemy ships and the damaged station. How long before the station's shields fail? He asked. 17 minutes, sir, answered Lieutenant Bora. Minho nodded. That was not much time. All ships, you are free to shoot. Save that station. That is our only job. He opened the channel so all the ships could hear him. This is Captain Minho. They have more ships than us. They probably think that is fair. Let us teach them about Earth math. The human warships move forward fast. Their engines push them at 12 times Earth's gravity. Most alien species would die from that much force. But humans were built for it. Their home planet had taught them to be strong. The Krell saw the new ships and turned 6 of their vessels toward the humans. The Krell were like a hive of insects. They did not think like individuals. They just attacked and ate everything in their path. On the research station, Tilrax stared at his screen. What are they doing? He gasped. They are going straight at the Krell. His second officer, Velring, was equally shocked. That is suicide. The Krell will surround them and tear them apart. But the humans did not slow down. The lead destroyer, Soul's Pride, opened fire. But these were not normal space weapons. These were railguns. They shot pieces of metal at incredible speed. The first Krell ship did not have time to react. The metal slug punched through its armor like paper. The energy turned into heat inside the ship. The Krell ship exploded from the inside. By the ancestors, Velrin whispered. What kind of weapons are those? More human ships joined the fight. 2 big carriers, Inchin's Hammer and Bison's Fury, released small fighter craft. These fighters moved in ways that should not be possible. They twisted and turned in 3 dimensions. Lieutenant Sora led 1 squadron of fighters. She spoke calmly into her radio even though her ship was pulling 7 times Earth's gravity. Dragon Squadron, go high. Phoenix Squadron, go low. Let us see if these things can handle both at once. The Krell tried to adapt, but they were used to fighting species that were careful. Species that tried not to lose ships or pilots. Humans did not fight that way. Humans fought like their harsh planet had taught them. They were aggressive and willing to take damage. Lieutenant Jinho locked his weapons on a group of Krell drones. Missiles away, he said calmly. Impact in 5.4.3. The missiles hit the tightly packed Krell formation. Each explosion caused another explosion. 7 drones turned into floating debris in seconds. Nice shot, Phoenix leader. Captain Yunji called from Inchin's Hammer. All carriers prepare torpedoes. Hit the big ships. The torpedoes launched. These were not like the plasma weapons that most aliens used. These were fusion bombs. Small stars in missile form. 2 Krell capital ships vanished in blinding white light back on Soul's Pride. Captain Minho watched the battle with calm satisfaction. How are we doing? He asked. 9 enemy ships destroyed, 3 running away, 0 casualties on our side, Lieutenant Bora reported. She looked up at him. Sir, the station is calling us. They want to know who we are. Minho smiled a little. Tell them we got their distress call. He paused. And get me a translator. I want to talk to whoever is in charge over there. On the research station, Tilrax was shaking. Not just from fear, though he felt plenty of that. He was shaking because he could not believe what he had just seen. In less than 10 minutes, these unknown warriors had destroyed a Krell force that would have needed an entire Alliance battle group to stop. "Commander, they want to talk to us," Velrin said. His voice was barely steady. "Put them on screen." The screen turned on and Tilrax found himself looking at a creature from nightmares. The being was tall and covered in skin. It had 2 eyes that faced forward like a predator's eyes. When it opened its mouth to speak, Tilrax could see teeth designed for eating meat. This was a predator species. "A Deathworlder? This is Captain Minho of the Earthship Soul's Pride," the creature said. The computer translated his words. "We received your distress call. Do you need medical help?" Tilrax tried to speak, but no words came out. Finally, he managed to say, "You ... You came, but you are not the Alliance." "No," Minho agreed. "We are not. But you called for help." We answered. His face changed a little. To Velian eyes, it was hard to read his expression. "Can we help fix your station? Do you have wounded people?" "Yes," Tilrax whispered. "Many wounded. And you saved us." "That is what we do," Minho said simply. "Wait there. We are sending medical teams and engineers. And do not worry. We cleared out all the Krell. You are safe now." When the screen went dark, Tilrax sat down in his chair. He felt weak. They had sent a distress call to the wrong species. The Galactic Alliance would be very angry when they found out. Deathworlders had entered neutral space, but these Deathworlders had saved them when no one else came, around the station. The human ships moved into protective positions. Small transport craft began flying between the fleet and the station. Inside those craft were doctors and engineers. People coming to help. Tilrax looked at Velrin. "What have we done?" he asked quietly. "We survived," Velrin answered. "Thanks to them." Outside, space was quiet again. The Krell were gone. The battle was over. But Tilrax knew that another kind of battle was just beginning. The Alliance would come soon. And they would have many questions about why humans were here. But right now, none of that mattered. Right now, his people were alive. And that was because of the Deathworlders. 4 hours after the battle, the human medical ship Guangzhou's Grace connected to Research Station Theta-7. Dr. Nari led her team through the door. She was the chief medical officer. Her team carried their equipment with them as they walked through the station. The inside of the station was terrible. Walls had holes in them that were covered with emergency foam. The lights flickered on and off. There was a smell in the air that made the humans uncomfortable. Their training told them it was Velian blood. "Multiple wounded people in the second corridor on the left," Lieutenant Kyung said. He was scanning with his medical device. "They are alive but weak," Dr. Nari nodded. "Split into teams. Remember, these people are more fragile than us. Be gentle. And somebody find their head doctor? We need to learn about their biology before we start treating them." In the station's medical bay, a Velian doctor named Horvath was trying to save a researcher. The researcher had been crushed by falling metal. Horvath's 4 arms moved quickly, but his equipment was broken and his supplies were almost gone. When the door opened and the humans walked in, he almost fell down from exhaustion and relief. "Are you the medical team?" Horvath asked. Dr. Nari walked forward slowly. She kept her hands where he could see them. Her body language was friendly and non-threatening. "I am Dr. Nari, Chief Medical Officer. We are here to help. What do you need?" Horvath pointed at his patient. "His chest is crushed. Internal bleeding. Cannot breathe properly. I stabilized him temporarily, but our healing machine is broken. Without it, he will die in 1 hour." Dr. Nari scanned the injured Velian with her device. The data was strange. Their biology was based on silicon instead of carbon. Their blood worked differently than human blood. But damage was damage, no matter what the chemistry. "We cannot regenerate his tissue, but we can stop the bleeding and keep him stable until your machine works again." She turned to her team. "Kyung, get the portable surgery unit ready. Minji, start in 4 drip. Check his chemistry first, small doses. We are not taking risks. As the human medical team worked, Horvath watched with both fascination and growing fear. These creatures moved with confidence that seemed almost reckless. When Dr. Nari cut into the patient to reach damaged tissue, her hands were perfectly steady. When Lieutenant Kyung lifted a piece of debris that weighed 40 kilograms, he did it with one hand while keeping his other hand sterile for surgery. Your species is? Very strong, Horvath said quietly. Dr. Nari glanced at him while working on a blood vessel. Our home planet has high gravity. You adapt or you die. She worked silently for a moment. Your patient will live. The bleeding is stopped. Once your healing machine works, he should fully recover. All over the station, similar things were happening. Human engineers, led by Commander Junho, worked with tired Velian technicians to fix critical systems. Where the Velians used delicate crystal tools and careful precision, the humans used what could only be called aggressive problem-solving. The power line is fused, a Velian engineer named Solfin explained to Junho. His secondary hands gestured helplessly. We need to grow a replacement. It will take 3 days. Junho looked at the conduit, then pulled out a plasma cutter. Or we go around it. Run a temporary line through the backup junction? He started cutting without waiting for permission. Solfin watched in alarm. But that will overload the... Not if we reinforce the junction with these. Junho pulled out long strips of reinforced material. We use this for hull repairs. It should handle the extra power. He worked efficiently, his movements economical despite the tight space. It is not pretty, but it will work until you can grow a proper replacement. 20 minutes later, the lights in that section came on at full brightness. In the station's command center, Commander Tilrax met with Captain Minho and Admiral Jiwon. The Admiral had come from her command ship to personally watch over the operation. The three of them stood around a holographic display showing the station's status. Most critical systems were fixed, all fires were out, and the hull was sealed properly. Your people work fast, Tilrax observed. His tone carried both gratitude and worry. And very effectively, Admiral Jiwon nodded. We train for disasters. Our home planet is violent. Earthquakes, volcanoes, huge storms. We learn to adapt. She studied the Velian commander. Commander Tilrax, I need to ask something. Why did your distress call reach us? You were clearly trying to contact the Galactic Alliance. Tilrax's skin turned a deeper blue, which meant he was embarrassed. An error in our relay systems. The signal was supposed to reach Alliance space, but instead, he gestured at the humans. You said you are from Earth? That is correct. I have heard of your species, Tilrax admitted quietly. There are reports, warnings, actually. You are classified as a hostile Deathworld species, kept in your home sector by order. We know about the restrictions, Minho said. His voice got a bit harder. We also know that while we were locked in our sector, you were dying. Orders from safe politicians do not mean much when people are screaming for help. Tilrax was silent for a long moment. Then his posture changed in a Velian gesture of deep respect. You saved 47 lives today. Whatever the Alliance says about your species, you risked yourselves for strangers. That is not what monsters do. Admiral Jiwon's expression softened. Thank you, Commander. But you need to understand something. This will have consequences for us and for you. The Alliance will not be happy that Deathworlders entered neutral space, no matter the reason. Let them be unhappy, Tilrax said with unexpected strength in his voice. You answered our call when no one else would. I will tell that to any judge or tribunal. A new alert appeared on the holographic display. Lieutenant Bora's voice came through the communicator. Admiral, we are detecting multiple hyperspace signatures. 6 contacts, Alliance fleet configuration. They will arrive in 12 minutes. Admiral Jiwon and Captain Minho looked at each other. The political consequences were arriving faster than expected. Well, Minho said dryly, time to find out if we are heroes or war criminals? The Alliance task force came out of hyperspace in perfect formation. 6 ships arranged in a pattern that showed their weapons clearly. The flagship was a Zenthi heavy cruiser called Harmonious Resolution. It was 3 times bigger than any human ship there. Its hull was smooth and beautiful, built by a species that had known peace for 1,000 years. On the bridge of Soul's Pride, Captain Minho watched the Alliance fleet approach. His face was carefully neutral. "What are they saying?" he asked. "Standard greeting, sir." "They want to know who we are and why we are here," Lieutenant Hyon said. She paused. "Sir, they do not sound friendly." Admiral Jiwan, watching through a holographic link, spoke calmly. "Open a channel. Let us get this over with." The view screen came on. It showed Commander Velther of the Zenthi. He was tall and thin, with silver skin and large, dark eyes on the sides of his head. A prey species evolved from herd animals on a garden planet with half Earth's gravity. He looked at the humans with obvious dislike. "This is Commander Velther of the Galactic Alliance," he said. His voice was musical even through the translator. "You are violating quarantine protocols, Treaty Section 12. Paragraph 7. You will power down and prepare to be escorted back to your sector." Admiral Jiwan stepped forward. "I am Admiral Jiwan of the Earth Defense Fleet. We responded to a distress call from research. Station Theta 7, under Galactic Maritime Law. Any ship that can help must help." "Maritime law applies to Alliance members," Velther said coldly. "Which you are not. Your species was quarantined for the safety of civilized space." "Civilized?" Captain Minho's voice was sharp. "We have been in this system for 6 hours. In that time, we eliminated a Krell assault force and saved 47 lives. Where was the Alliance 6 hours ago, Commander?" Velther's expression tightened. "The Krell swarm is a known problem in this region. Research Station Theta 7 was warned about operating in contested space. Their decision to remain was unfortunate." "Unfortunate?" Dr. Neri's voice cut in from the medical bay. Her anger was clear. "I have 32 critical patients here. Unfortunate does not begin to cover it. They called for help and you were not coming, were you?" There was a pause. Velther's large eyes blinked slowly, a sign of discomfort. "The Alliance has protocols. A response fleet was being assembled. Estimated arrival was 48 hours from the initial distress call. They had 17 minutes when we arrived," Minho said flatly. "Your protocols would have gotten everyone killed." Before Velther could respond, another voice entered the channel. "Commander Velther, this is Research Station Theta 7. I am Commander Tilrax, ranking officer. I wish to formally testify." The view screen split to show Tilrax in the station's command center. His forearms were folded in a gesture of formal address. 6 hours ago, this station was under siege. Our shields were failing. Our people were dying. The Alliance response time of 48 hours was unacceptable. We did not have 48 minutes. Velther tried to interrupt, but Tilrax continued. His melodic voice got harder. "The Earth fleet arrived within 30 hours of our distress call. They fought a superior Krell force and won with 0 casualties to themselves or to us. Their medical teams saved lives I had thought were lost. Their engineers fixed systems we thought would take days to repair." "Commander Tilrax," Velther said carefully, "you must understand the larger implications. I understand that I am alive because Deathworlders ignored your politics." Tilrax interrupted. "And I understand that I was going to die because the Alliance puts protocols before lives." The tension was thick. Finally, a new voice entered the conversation. This voice was older and carried more authority. "This is Ambassador Thorin of the Council. I believe we should discuss this matter calmly." The view screen changed to show an elderly Korthan. Ambassador Thorin was known for diplomatic skills. He had scaled green skin and intelligent eyes that showed he had spent centuries negotiating between species. "Admiral Jiwan," Thorin began, "the Council appreciates your swift response to the distress call. However, you must understand that the quarantine protocols exist for important reasons." "With respect?" "Ambassador," Admiral Jiwan replied, "I understand the quarantine exists because our species is considered dangerous. But we are not asking to join the Alliance. We are not asking for territory or resources. We simply responded to a cry for help." A noble sentiment, Thorin acknowledged. But it sets a precedent. If Earth can ignore quarantine protocols when it thinks necessary, what stops other species from doing the same? Maybe, Captain Minho interjected, the precedent should be that saving lives matters more than bureaucracy. Thorin's expression was hard to read. Captain, the Alliance has maintained peace for over 3,000 years. That peace is built on protocols and treaties that prevent chaos. Your species is powerful, more powerful than you perhaps realize. That power, without control, could destabilize the entire galactic order. So we should have let them die? Minho asked quietly. To preserve your order? The silence stretched long. Finally, Commander Tilrax spoke again. Ambassador Thorin, if I may. Perhaps the issue is not that Earth violated the quarantine, but that the quarantine itself is flawed. That is not, Valther began. But Thorin raised a hand. Continue, Commander. The quarantine assumes Earth is a threat. But today, they prove to be protectors. Perhaps, Tilrax said carefully, the Alliance should reconsider its policies about Deathworld species. At minimum, allow them to respond to emergencies in neutral space. Thorin was quiet for a long moment. An interesting proposal. One that would require extensive council debate. He looked at Admiral Giwan. For now, Admiral, you and your fleet will remain in this system until the Council makes a decision. Consider yourselves guests. And if we refuse? Minho asked. Then you will confirm every fear the Alliance has about your species, Thorin said bluntly. Please, Captain. Give diplomacy a chance. Admiral Yuan nodded slowly. We will stay. But understand, Ambassador. If another distress call reaches us while we wait, we are responding. Consequences be damned? Thorin's expression might have been a smile. I would expect nothing less from a Deathworlder. 3 days passed in tense waiting. The Alliance task force kept a polite but firm distance around the human fleet. Ambassadors from 17 different species held emergency meetings through quantum communications. Research Station Theta-7, now fully repaired, became an unlikely neutral ground where humans and Alliance members work side by side on Sol's Pride. Captain Minho reviewed reports with growing frustration. They have been talking for 72 hours. How long does it take to decide if saving lives is acceptable? Lieutenant Bora looked up from her station. Sir, priority transmission. Ambassador Thorin is requesting a private meeting. You, Admiral G1 and Commander Tilrax. Location is Research Station Theta-7, Conference Room 7. Minho looked at Admiral G1's hologram. What do you think? I think we are about to find out if we go home as heroes or prisoners, G1 replied. Let us hear our verdict. The conference room was a mix of styles. The Velian design had open spaces and crystal architecture. The humans had added portable chairs made for their higher gravity. Ambassador Thorin arrived with Commander Velther and 2 aides. Thorin sat down with the slow movement of someone very old. Thank you for meeting with me. I wanted to discuss the Council's decision privately before the official announcement. I appreciate the courtesy, Admiral Jiwan said neutrally. The Council has been divided, Thorin admitted. Your actions here have forced us to face uncomfortable truths about our own policies. He gestured to Commander Velther. Some believe the quarantine should remain absolute. That Deathworlder species, however well-meaning, represent a threat to galactic peace. Velther spoke stiffly. The historical record shows that aggressive species always cause conflict. The quarantine protects everyone, including Earth. Others, Thorin continued, believe your actions here show that the Deathworlder classification is too broad. That perhaps ability for violence and desire for violence are not the same thing. Captain Minho leaned forward. Ambassador, with respect, we are not interested in philosophy. 47 people are alive because we acted. That is all that matters to us. And that, Thorin said quietly, is exactly why the Council has reached its decision. He pulled up a holographic document. Effective immediately, Earth is granted provisional status as an emergency response partner. You may respond to distress calls in neutral space and give humanitarian aid without violating quarantine protocols. Admiral Juan blinked in surprise. That is more than we expected. Do not celebrate yet, Velther said coldly. This status comes with conditions. All Earth vessels responding to emergencies will be watched by Alliance observers. Any aggressive action against Alliance members will result in immediate revocation and potential military sanctions. We can accept those terms, Jawan said carefully. We are not looking for conflict, Commander. We just want to help where we can. Thorin nodded. I know. That is why I personally argued for this decision. He looked at each human carefully. But you must understand. Many in the Alliance fear you. Your physical capabilities, your aggressive nature, your stubborn refusal to abandon those in need. These traits make you dangerous by our standards. Dangerous to enemies, Minho said. Not to friends. The Alliance has no enemies, Velther stated. Only partners of varying diplomatic standing. Then you are lucky we showed up, Minho replied. Because the Krell swarm definitely had enemies. We just happened to be better at it than they were. Thorin made a sound that might have been a laugh. Captain, you represent everything that frightens the Alliance about Deathworlders. But you also represent everything we have forgotten. The willingness to take action when others need help, regardless of cost. Commander Tilrax, who had been quiet until now, spoke up. Ambassador, if I may? The humans did more than save lives. They reminded us what courage looks like. The Alliance has become comfortable, safe. We have forgotten that sometimes safety requires people willing to face danger. Well said, Thorin agreed. He turned back to Admiral Jiwan. There is one more thing. The Council would like to formally invite Earth to send an observer delegation to Alliance space. Not membership. That will take years of negotiation. But a presence. A voice. Admiral Jiwan was silent for a long moment. We would be honored, Ambassador. Though I suspect some species will not be happy about Deathworlders in their government halls. They will adapt, Thorin said firmly. Change is uncomfortable but necessary. And perhaps the Alliance needs to remember that strength and compassion can exist together. Later that evening, in the station's observation deck, Lieutenant Sora stood with Velian researcher Kithron. Both looked out at the repaired station and the fleet beyond. Your people are leaving tomorrow? Kithron observed. His voice carried sadness. We have to, Sora replied. But we will be back if you need us. That is what the new agreement means. You frightened us at first, Kithron admitted. Everything about you. Your strength, your weapons, your willingness to charge into danger. We thought you were monsters. Sora smiled slightly. And now? Now I think perhaps monsters are what you need when other monsters come calling. Kithron's forearms gestured expressively. The Alliance forgot that the galaxy has teeth. You reminded us. We are not that different from you, Sora said quietly. We bleed, we fear, we love. We just come from a world that taught us to fight back when we are afraid. A death world, Kithron murmured. No, Sora corrected gently. A world that taught us the value of life. Because when survival is never guaranteed, you learn to protect it fiercely. Across the station, humans and Velians worked together on final repairs. They shared meals in the cafeteria and exchanged stories of their worlds. In the docking bay, Captain Minho walked with Commander Tilrax for one final inspection. Thank you, Tilrax said simply. For everything. Minho shook his head. You do not need to thank us for doing what is right. Perhaps that is why you are dangerous, Tilrax observed. You have a very clear sense of right and wrong, and you act on it regardless of consequences. Is that a bad thing? For politicians? Yes, for those who need help. Tilrax made the Velian gesture of deep respect. It is everything. As the human fleet prepared to leave, Ambassador Thorin sent one final message to Admiral Jiwan. You have set something in motion today that will change the Alliance forever. Some will curse your name. Others will celebrate it. But none will forget that when we failed, you succeeded. Safe travels, Admiral. And thank you. The Earth fleet jumped to hyperspace. Leaving behind a repaired station, saved lives. and the beginning of a new chapter in galactic history. In his quarters on Sol's Pride, Captain Minho recorded his log. Today, humanity took its first real step into the galactic community. Not through diplomacy or trade, but through action. We proved that being from a death world does not make you a monster. It makes you someone who understands that safety is earned, not given. Someone who knows that sometimes the only thing between civilization and chaos is someone willing to stand in the gap. The Alliance fears us. I do not blame them. We are everything they are not. Aggressive, stubborn, reckless by their standards. But we are also something else, reliable. When someone calls for help, we come. No politics, no committees, no waiting for approval. Maybe that is what the galaxy needs. Not another peaceful species, but one that remembers why peace is worth fighting for. As Earth's fleet disappeared into the stars, the galaxy quietly began to change its understanding of Deathworlders. They were dangerous, yes. But as Commander Tilrax had said, sometimes danger was exactly what you needed. The question now was, what would humanity do with its new status? Only time would tell. But one thing was certain. The next time someone sent a distress call into the void, they would be hoping it reached the wrong species again.